Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. This has been an incredible day with a lot of great talks, and I'm honored to be able to be here and tell you, as said, a little bit about what I've been up to. And the topic today is learning how we learn to code together remotely. So, a bit of my background. My name is Ramon. I'm a Chilean software developer and developer relations contractor living in Vienna, in Austria. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and the name of the game is fun for me. As long as I'm having fun, I'm learning and I'm growing as an individual and as a developer and member of the community. And yeah, so my focus has been on Ruby, JavaScript, lately a little bit more Rust as well, which has been a lot of fun. And my main drive, my main moving forward factor is that of the software development community. I think we are so privileged to be around such extraordinary minds and motivated people. And I just love the way we learn from one another, the way we teach one another, the concept of learning by teaching. I think it's incredible. And, being able to do that has been really a lot of fun for me. I've also been a member of a program called the Mozilla Tech Speakers Program. Now it's more of a volunteer kind of thing, but it's a lot of fun. It's been an incredible 2 years with them. I'm so grateful for every opportunity it's given me. But on to the topic. What is a coding study group? And the answer to that is, it comes with a lot of, it's not the only name for this kind of concept. It's also known as a hack and learn, coffee and code, kind of a learn together. And in researching this topic and talking to some friends, Joe Nash taught me that there is kind of an all-encompassing term for these kinds of things that also transcends different industries. So it's not just limited to software development. And this is called communities of practice. So what it is a group of people that get together in different contexts and talk and work together about all things in our case, software development. So, and it can involve a whole bunch of stuff. It can be, kind of co-working on side projects, holding mini workshops for one another, practicing talks in one another. That would involve this one as well, by the way. Also doing a little bit of show and tell, maybe show us, what you've been up to with your side projects and that sort of thing. And really the name of the game is encouraging one another, uplifting one another, learning from one another. So we have our own here in Vienna. It's called Study Jams. And it's been running now for almost 5 years now. And the way it started was my sister, Pilar. She also a software developer and DevOps expert. She attended a Rails Girls workshop. In case you're not familiar, Rails Girls is an initiative to help get underrepresented folks into software development, which for the most part used to focus on Rails, now has expanded into other sides. Anyway, she did this workshop and she thought, this is great. I'm so happy that I've got like a foot in the door. How can I keep this going? What's next? And that's where the concept of study jams came about. Sort of a get together every 2 weeks where we would just get together and work on our side projects. And here's what it would typically look like, right? A couple of folks getting together. We were very kind to be hosted by Wikimedia Austria. So this is us in their office, just working on our laptops and talking, having a cup of coffee, having a cup of tea, some cookies, and generally learning and having a good time doing so. And well, due to a pandemic and a lot of circumstances from last year, we haven't been able to attend these in person anymore. And so what's happened to a lot of events and meetups is they've either taken a break for now while they figure out what's the best way to move forward, or they've moved online. And when moving online and looking at what other communities are up to, I happened upon a Rust one in Berlin called Berliners. And this is run, as said, by the Berlin Rust community. And they were really nice in offering this so that we could do it in with people around the world. So I thought I'll join in. I'm interested in Rust, and we'll see what it's like. And it turned out to be a lot of fun. Excuse me. Well, so having attended this, I learned a lot about what they're doing, and I thought I could apply this to study jams. So we decided to move this community from being an offline in-person meetup to an online one in the meantime. And the question came probably on everybody's head is, what changed when we all went online? Because being online is very different when it comes to meeting with people over chat, over Zoom or something, or video chat. And my friend Flacky put it in a way that I just love. It's very different, not just because the environment is different, but because we ourselves are different, behaving differently. And it's got a ring of truth to it, doesn't it? You know, when you're attending your meetings over Zoom or your meetups over the internet, you kind of, it just feels different from being in person, doesn't it? You know, not just in the way you present yourself, the way you've got your camera perfectly angled so that the rest of the mess in your office is not shown, or, you know, the fact that you are probably dressed differently than how you would, you know, probably wearing comfy trousers, or, you know, a nice soft sweater, that sort of thing. It feels different. You talk differently. And so what I set out to do with study jams was to really address these points and see how I could make it as seamless as possible a transition. First comes in community dynamics. For example, when we would get together in person, we would take some time to catch up with one another. But when doing so online, there was things were a little bit different, because now people are joining in just once, maybe joining in for the first time. Given it's on the internet, it's a lot more accessible for folks who either don't have the time to commute to Vienna, or, you know, don't live anywhere close to Vienna, but still would like to join in. So we take some time to, as I said, catch up with one another, but also take some time to introduce ourselves, see what we're all up to. There's also, of course, dealing with technical issues. I think the most uttered phrase in the year 2020 was, "Can you hear me? Oh, you're muted. Oh, cute dog. Oh, look at your cat." That sort of thing. Oh, I think your camera. Oh, I think we lost that person. You know, that's that sort of thing that we've gotten used to by now. At the beginning was kind of like, you know, messing with the dynamic. This next one was a bit more personal. Long silences. When we were in person and we were, you know, each on our laptop, maybe working on our latest thing, it was kind of normal, or not normal, but it wasn't uncommon for us to just sort of be in our own world, working on our own thing, but still nice to be around one another, you know, motivating each other. But when you're on the internet and you're sort of leading a call, I found myself a lot of the time kind of feeling like, are people bored? Should I keep the conversation going? Now, in the time since I've thought about this and given this talk before, it's come to my attention that this is, of course, dependent on culture, environment, and what I learned at the Rust Berlin Hack and Learn is this is just the same as being offline. People are working on their own thing and talk when they need to. It's kind of nice, kind of a co-working thing. So the other thing that becomes very important, of course, when dealing with an online environment is to keep a good eye on how we enforce our code of conduct. Because when we're on the internet, there's not just the spoken of video chat, there's not just the written of chat, there's also documents, there's also code sharing. There's a whole bunch of ways that we need to keep an eye that everybody feels included and safe. If you're wondering why we should even have a code of conduct at our event like this in the first place, I can recommend this linked blog post from Ash Dryden that I think tells it a lot better than I ever could. And the last part is that, you know, we've got, now that we're online, the possibility to reach anyone in the world. Everybody can join in who has an internet connection and, you know, the willingness to join. So that's the community aspect. What about the technical sides? What about the there's a word and it escapes me, logistical side? For example, now that we're online, there's nothing stopping us from taking notes in unison. So what I'm going to be doing next over the next portion of my talk is exploring some of the tools we found and used and just share how they worked for us. Now, when it comes to collaborative note-taking, probably what a lot of people immediately think of is Google Docs. Google Docs has this ubiquity. It allows people to edit documents together in real time. And it's very popular. But the problem I found was that, first off, I kind of wanted to give people the option of avoiding having to have a Google account if they don't want to work on a Google Doc. Not everybody has a Google account, and I want to be inclusive and make sure that everybody can join in. That said, I did find out it is possible to edit Google Docs collaboratively without a Google Doc. So there's that. However, we ended up going with a different option that was a suggestion from the Berlin Hack and Learn community, which is something called
we have some troubles facing technical stuff, and we will come back shortly if there is any feedback from Ramon. But I think we just can wait for the minute. Yeah. Hey.
I'm very sorry. I think I clicked on the wrong thing. My mistake.
No problem. Please continue just one few sentences before so people can sync again.
Yeah. My apologies, folks. I clicked on the wrong thing. Well, so what I was talking about just before I disconnected myself was that the possibility of HackMD is that it allows you to have collaborative note-taking. It's open source. It's the thing I was particularly excited about was allowing people to write in Markdown. I'm a big Markdown fan, so I was quite excited about that. And being able to write in Markdown is nice. Being able to write collaboratively is very nice. But what I also liked is that if you don't know Markdown, this also gives you the opportunity, like Google Docs, to have rich text-like editing. So that was pretty nice. We ended up going with this and allowing us to link backwards, right? Link the document from the previous session. Kind of gave folks like a look backwards at previous notes, see what we've learned and what we've shared with one another, links to projects, that sort of thing. Right. So that's collaborative note-taking. Then comes let's say the proverbial elephant in the room, video chat. Video chat, when it comes to these sort of things, is, I think, quite ubiquitous. As I said, I think everybody has used Zoom in the last year. So when it came to video chat, I wanted to take the opportunity to try something that wasn't just limited to video chat. And you'll see what I mean in a moment, because there's actually a lot of options out there. I'm going to show you a screenshot from my computer. This was the day that we sort of tested out all different platforms of video and audio chat. And yeah, just a ton of windows with lots of different platforms. And I'm going to take you through each of these and show you what we have here. So the first one is called Jitsi Meet. If you're not familiar with Jitsi Meet, it'll seem very similar to something you've used before, maybe Zoom, maybe Google Meet. It's a web-based video chat platform, and things I like about it: open source. You can host it on your own server, and it's usable with something called Webrtc, which is a technology that allows folks to communicate directly in the browser. And I really liked this. It was really exciting. We could have a certain amount of people. I think when I first researched this topic, I think the limit of people was something like 32. Not a big deal for us. We averaged on about 10 to 15, so it worked fine. When we started using Jitsi, there was a problem in Firefox, so it was better to use it on Chrome. Things like this have been gradually being improved over time. Lovely platform, screen sharing, video chat. You can see there that one of us is with a cute dog, of course. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So that's Jitsi Meet. What about something that's a little more, let's say, out there, something a little less common? We went with something called Mozilla Hubs. And I was quite excited for having an option to show this. Being part of the tech speakers, I was able to have people tell me about Hubs. And if you're not familiar with Hubs, it's a lot of fun. What it is, it's a platform provided by Mozilla that allows people to have virtual rooms and virtual interactions. Now, it is primarily made for VR, virtual reality glasses, interacting with the world, with the controllers and that sort of thing. But it is also usable on a browser. And so we thought, let's give this a try. And here we are hanging out in our Mozilla Hubs, let's say, session. And you can see each of us has a 3D avatar where this is a screenshot that I took with my avatar looking at the rest of everybody. Since this is a pretty open platform, you could have your own private room, hang out with people, choose a room, and even upload 3D models, 3D environments that you have created on your own. I think I want to say with Blender. I'm not very familiar with 3D modeling technologies. I'll have to look more into that. In any case, you can drop objects, you can take selfies, you can share your screen, of course. You can even share your webcam, which can be terrifying. I apologize for this horror scenario. Yes, that's me in the sky. You can see at the bottom left, Santa is looking up at me. There's something so ominous about this screenshot. I love it. We had a lot of fun playing around here. And the other thing about Mozilla Hubs that a couple other platforms have that I found really interesting in trying to replicate the experience of being in person is something called spatialized voice chat. Now, I just found this, I didn't know about this term beforehand, but now that I know it, I feel really clever saying it. Spatialized voice chat. Sorry. What it is the concept of allowing avatars in a virtual environment to interact with with each other relative to their position in that virtual environment. By which I mean each person has, when they talk, they emit a sound. The closer you are to me in this virtual environment, the louder my sound will be. So you can have what this illustration here kind of tries to convey is that spatialized voice chat as a technology allows folks to be able to break off and have side conversations, which is really cool because it means that, say, a bunch of people are in video chat. If two conversations want to happen at once, what you really kind of need to do is open a separate room. But with spatialized voice chat, you can just move your avatars over to the side and do it there. So we were really excited about this. And we even set up a little auditorium. You can see there's my screen share, we put some dogs there. I like dogs. We put some dogs there to sort of follow along with us. And in the browser, the way you interact with the world, for those of you that are familiar with computer games, with first-person games, you move with the keyboard and you look around with the mouse, which was, if you're familiar with this sort of control, it's very handy. But we did find an issue where some of our attendees who spent less time with it had a kind of a tricky time understanding how to move in a first-person world. If you haven't spent a lot of time playing games, it's not going to be as intuitive to be like, one of our attendees, I remember, asked us, hey, where am I? I can't see myself. And I'm like, yeah, I tried to hold up a mirror to this person and be like, yeah, this is you. You can't see yourself because you're looking through your character's eyes. So that was really interesting and something that, gave us cause to think about other alternatives for people that want to hang out in this more, let's say, chill environment, right? And somebody asked the question, does it come in 2D, two-dimensional? So instead of being a 3D world, it would be sort of a top-down world. And it turns out there are loads of options. The one that we found that was a nice open platform and recommended by the Berlin Rust Hack and Learn team is called the Online Town. Now, this is a little similar to how we have it in Jitsi. For example, you'll see here's our cameras. Here's a 2D world. In the middle there, you will see our characters. It kind of looks like, if you've played games like Pokemon, it looks pretty similar to that. We've got our characters, each of whom has a color correspondent to them, which is assigned to a key here. And those colors also correspond to our cameras down below. Now, what's cool about this is that being a 2D environment, we can also use spatialized voice chat here, meaning the further you move away, the quieter your character becomes to those people that you're trying to talk to, and so does your camera fade away. It becomes a little harder to see that person. However, this did have the drawback that screen sharing was not a possibility. That said, there are options for that as well. There's another project very similar to the online town called Gather Town, which tries to convey more of a conference environment as well. So screen sharing is totally a possibility here. So there are definitely options out there. Now you might be wondering, since we were 10, so on this day, for example, you saw in my previous screenshot, we were just 4 people. Now, of those people, you might be wondering, did we as a small group really need spatialized chat? And the answer to that was not really. It was a nice concept, but for our group size, our group dynamic, didn't really work. So that's fair. At the end of the day, we had a lot of fun, but we ended up going back to Jitsi Meet and carrying out the rest of our sessions since then at that size. And well, having explored all of that, I need to clarify, this is absolutely not an exhaustive search. These are not all the options out there. There are other alternatives, which I hadn't at the time looked into yet. A couple of them that came about are things like Kala, which is a plugin for Jitsi that allows people to have that spatialized chat. It kind of looks like the online town or Gather Town. For sharing code, it kind of reminded me of when I started out and I was doing lots of sharing Tmux sessions over the internet. Visual Studio allows folks to do live shares with one another using their editor to connect to other people's sessions of Visual Studio Code and code together there. We tried that with the Hack and Learn group for Rust in Berlin, and that was really eye-opening. There's also lots of other fun alternatives out there. One of my favorites is called Rambly. Didn't get to try it yet. And if you're familiar with the video game Earthbound, it's one of my favorite video games growing up. The style is very, very reminiscent of that. So I was quite excited to check that out. So all that said, the question then comes out, did we figure out the perfect formula for having online interactions and learning together online? Absolutely not. You know, we've been in this situation for just under a year now, and the need to be remote, you know, people are constantly coming up with new ideas. The technology is constantly advancing, but it kind of led me to a conclusion that I wanted to share with you today. And that is that maybe when trying to move these sort of things online, maybe I should try to be making it look less like this and a little more like this. So that's my talk for today. I had a lot of fun reading up about this. Here's some links to some blog posts, some deep dives into how Webrtc looks like, Mozilla Hubs, Online Town, Kala, Rambly. There was also a talk at the conference You Got This last week from Sus Shardlow about co-working online, and I learned a lot from that. Unfortunately, that talk isn't sorry, the recording of that talk isn't up yet, but keep an eye out on the website for You Got This. She did a great job of going into these topics as well. Lastly, there's this last link. The Introduction to Communities of Practice has a ton of really good reading about the topic of this, and I think we can all learn a little bit from it. So folks, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you want to get in touch, my Twitter handle is Hola Soy Milk. It's a terrible joke. It's Spanish for hello, I am milk. I do not apologize. Yeah, get in touch and see you around online. Thanks a lot.
Hey. So a super nice talk. Thank you so much. It was
Thank
like
you.
a pleasure for me. Super nice to see you, and what a vibe, what a like great surroundings, and like what tools did you select for the talk? It's really nice.
Thank you.
So yeah, amazing talk. Thank you again. Well deserved for go for the questions or some feedbacks. I
Cool.
see that there is a more than uh, 5, I think. Like really nice topic. So let's start with the question: have you given breakout rooms a try? so that folks can connect to more than 2-to-1 or 1-to-1?
Yeah, we try. Well, I have tried breakout rooms before. The Ruby user group in Berlin uses these in Zoom, and these are great because you can sort of you have smaller conversations. What they do at the end of after the talks of their meetup, they'll just randomly put people into breakout rooms, and this will allow folks to just hang out, talk about the latest developments in Ruby. And we just had Ruby 3 come out a few weeks ago, so everybody's talking about that now. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. However, unless I'm mistaken, they're a paid feature of Zoom. So if you're doing this on a volunteer basis, it would be good. I would recommend seeing if you can get some sort of sponsorship for your group, or so that you can have that feature.
Okay, so then there is a nice feedback about the backgrounds.
Yeah, I given this move to the online, being online so much, I kind of felt like I can't hide my inner Nintendo dork, so I'm kind of surrounded by it now.
Yeah, great one, great one. So, do you designate a moderator for the sessions? I think it's a context of this. Yeah, so you remember that part of the talk.
Yeah, that's an excellent question, and I should have covered that. My apologies. So the thing is, absolutely, in part of keeping with our code of conduct, it is absolutely imperative that we have a moderator checking these chats, checking the video chat, making sure everybody's feeling included and safe. And doing so as an organizer, there's only so much you can do, because because we are human, because we are biased, impossible to moderate yourself, and you will slip up. So having a third party to help with the moderation, to volunteer help with the moderation is, super important. Thank you for that excellent question.
Yeah, really great questions. And the next one, so we share. How do you share the code? For example, how do you collaborate on code? Do you use additional tools for that, or basically screen sharing?
Yeah, good question. That's a bit of both. We started out doing lots of screen sharing. I found that collaborating on code over these online sessions didn't happen as often as it used to, say, in person, right? So we were sort of just pasting snippets of code or sharing GitHub. What are they called? Links to very specific GitHub lines in a code base. Or what we've been doing more lately is also trying this Visual Studio live share. Of course, this requires having Visual Studio Code installed on your machine, but it allows us to share. It's kind of nice because it also lets you have your theme, your environment, your plugins if you want. In the past, I've done this with sharing Tmux sessions, though that's quite a few years ago. I haven't done that in a while. For context, Tmux is a terminal tool to manage your screens on the terminal.
Yeah, nice selection of additional tools and practices. So, and then nice feedback also about the keyboard and your background.
Yes, you might have seen some of that. This here is an Atreus. It's wooden. I've never waxed wood before, but they gave me, like, when I bought this kit, they gave me not just the case, but the wax and the sawing sandpaper. That's it. I like weird keyboards. I've got a few. There's probably see like one down here, and of course the one I'm typing with, which is an Ergo Docs, also with wood. I just like the feeling of wooden keyboards a lot. I promise not to geek out for too long about this. I love this stuff. It's a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine. Oops, sorry.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we still have some few minutes for talk. So, or if you want to add something. Oh yeah, we have another feedback. So
Remote hurdle.
I call it remote hurdle. You have to actively signal that you want to share on this code. So it's, I think, the comment for the first keyboard that you show.
Thank you. That's a great term. I got to look more into that. Thank you very much for sharing. tech people code.
Yeah, okay. So checking again for the feedbacks and questions and just wait for 1 minute or so. Yeah, can't
Hit me
see.
up on Twitter or whatever if you want to chat some more about it. I'm very, very happy to chat about
Yeah,
this stuff.
please send us any questions. We will forward to speaker and then he can answer them and forward it back to you. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. It was such a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you. Thank you for
Hopefully,
having me, and thank you all for tuning in.
yeah, ciao, ciao.
Take care.